As the days grow cooler and the summer's green gives way to fall, a certain apprehension descends upon the land. A compulsion to check and double-check gear, to scout around fields and forests and hone up on skills. The cause of this anticipation is unclear. Some say it's viral, while others are simply predisposed. Whatever the reason, one thing is for certain. Rifle hunting season is fast approaching.
Live on the edge, 'cause brother, win or lose, it's all in what you do with the chance you're given. Yeah, through the wind and rain, you feel your heart pounding. You got one shot, what you got? Tell me what's it gonna be? You gotta make the most of this opportunity. If others fail, make sure you succeed. On the edge.
The Edge is sponsored by Cabela's and also by Bog Pod, Browning, Buck Expert, Caldwell, Field Torque Knives, Prime Archery, High Mountain Seasonings, HowToHunt.com, Hornady, Polaris, 10-Point Crossbows, Wild Game Innovations Trail Cameras, and Vortex. It's the day before Alberta's hunting season officially opens. Helgie Eymundson is getting ready. He's decided to hunt on familiar turf, his family's homestead.
This area is really special to me because this is where I learned how to hunt. This is where I started out going from the cabin out on a trap line when I was 6 years old and learning all the different animals and learning all their tracks and movements and patterns.
Helgie has spent the last couple of days preparing for the start of the season. He's got a plan of action and a strategy based on years of experience. With luck, all will end with a successful harvest.
The key to a successful hunt, especially when you're trying to get out there on opening morning, is to have all your scouting done ahead of time. I'd had trail cameras out for weeks and been moving them around and figuring out the patterns. Yeah, and I was very confident that opening morning we would be there in the right spot getting our deer.
We're 260 yards to the decoys, to that point there.
In the area that we're hunting, it's a mix of cropland and bush. So early in the season, you're going to find them out on some of the lush fields, but as things start to freeze and die, they move into the heavy timber and feeding more in the marshy areas on some grass and what browse is left.
With an unseasonably warm fall, the fields are still bare. Helgie has his sights set on the open cropland.
The particular spot that we've keyed in on has got a mix of barley, some fallow, some canola, and then the heavy timber. The reason we've been focusing on the field is because there was late rain, second growth in the crops, and so the combines weren't able to pick it up properly. So there's actually some really high density protein material still left on the field for them. It's going to draw them out to feed there. All we need is for a couple of hot does to be on the field, and we will get our shot at our buck.
To make sure that deer are drawn to his targeted locations, Helgie uses a variety of scents.
We got a great licking branch here and a scrape underneath, about 100 and some yards down this trail from the field. This is some Buck Expert tarsal gland. The best place to put your scent is on the licking branch. They've got glands by their antlers and around their eyes, and they rub on here, and this is how they can tell who's the dominant buck in the area. So if you mess with them and put it on here, you can get some action.
I decided to put out a variety of scents. I had some tarsal gland scent and some doe and heat urine, and I'm a firm believer of laying down a lot of scent. It not only covers you up, but it keeps the bucks excited.
Look at the licking branch here, eh? I'm gonna put the dominant buck urine in here.
We're in the early part of the rut. The bucks are totally ready to go, but the majority of the does are not. So if you lay down a bunch of scent in a good spot, especially on a scrape line, you're gonna get that buck really fired up and ready for a challenge. The doe will walk through to check the scent of the buck and decide whether that's one that she wants to be around, and she'll start frequenting that area more and leave her scent there. And then he comes back to the scrape, finds her scent trail, and then go tracks her down.
That's an outfit.
The area I'm hunting has got a variety of species: bear, moose, elk, whitetails. More likely that we're going to get a shot at a good whitetail, but you never know when those elk are going to show up, and so you always got to have that tag ready to go.
With everything in place, Helgie's strategy appears to be working, with signs of deer and elk in the fields. Opening day for the hunt should be a walk in the park. Coming up,
Leading up to the opening day of the season, I'd narrowed in on one spot. I had a game plan. I was going to be there in the dark, waiting for my buck, and I was going to get him.
Helgie Eymundson has spent the last couple of days preparing for the opening of rifle hunting season. He's hunting white-tailed deer in an area that he's very familiar with, the family homestead.
This is where I learned how to hunt. Going from the cabin out on a trap line when I was 6 years old, and learning all the different animals and learning all their tracks and movements, and getting to know the area like the back of my hand.
This is Cladina rangiferina, reindeer moss. And that probably takes 50 years to grow that high, 40 to 50 years. There used to be woodland caribou around here. That's what they would have eaten. Now, why couldn't that be a hot doe and a buck just casually walking across the field? Or an elk? Is that too much to ask for?
Knowing the area is a huge advantage, but Helgie still needs to determine where the deer are so he can track their movements.
It's an ever-evolving chess match, and you're constantly moving your pieces around the board, and you're trying to get set up. Game cameras here, tree stands there, watching these trails there, and you're moving all your players into position.
Looks good.
Helgie has his game plan in place, and everything seems ready.
Leading up to the opening day of the season, I'd done a lot of scouting, had my cameras out, and I'd narrowed in on one spot. And I had a game plan. Opening morning, I was going to be there in the dark, waiting for my buck, and I was going to get him.
But even the best laid plans can go astray.
The weather blew us.
What had been a warm and dry fall day suddenly became a winter wonderland.
Lots of snow, wind, it's changed the patterns completely of the deer. When it's warm out, deer don't need to eat so much to stay warm and stay healthy. As it gets colder and there's snow on the ground, they're going to go back to their same bedding area. However, they're going to take completely different routes because they're about to use different food sources. They move into the heavy timber and feeding more in the marshy areas on some grass and what browse is left.
Helgie had been scouting deer trails that the animals had been using to get to open fields, but with the first snowfall of the season, the deer would be staying deeper in the bush.
Yeah, everything was against us with the weather.
All that Helgie can do is wait it out for a day and think about a new game plan.
No matter how good your plan is, you have to be able to adapt to the elements. When the weather changes, you have to be able to overcome that and go to where the deer are. You can't force the deer to be where you want them to be. So you got to change, you got to move, and do it now. And so, quite frankly, we're back to scout hunting.
But the ace in the hole for Helgie is that he knows this area intimately. It's his home field advantage.
We're moving cameras.
Oh, yeah.
And we're highly anticipating checking this one camera because there was a lot of activity in there.
I got lots of pictures of falling snow. It's beautiful.
All I got was snowflakes and does. No bucks. It kind of sucked that the weather changed right when we thought we had our plan really coming together. But hey, there's snow on the ground, so now we got tracks. Look on the positive side.
Helgie isn't the only one checking out the game trails.
One of the things that frustrates me when we're out whitetail hunting is encountering coyotes. As much as I want to smash them, I can't because I'm going to spook the deer.
There's 2 deer down on the trail.
Helgie's change of plan looks to be working in his favor.
2 does. They're coming this way.
But that's all there is. The 2 does are alone, and there's no buck following them.
This weather's got them all screwed up. That's okay, that's in our favor. Let's get back deep near that bedding area. We'll go see if we can call a buck in.
But as he heads further into the bush, the signs of white-tailed deer seem to be diminishing.
I don't think they're in this bush.
Calls and rattling to try to bring in a buck are having no effect.
So we're calling, rattling, grunting, so you never know what you're going to call in. This time, we got a squirrel.
2 squirrels. Did I bought the wrong bag? I hate squirrels.
As the end of day 2 of the hunt fast approaches, Helgie is running out of options.
Looks like we're going to plan C.
Still ahead,
You can do all the scouting in the world that you want, you can put up all your game cameras, and you can find exactly what you want. When the weather comes in and changes everything, you have to change too.
it's the very start of deer hunting season. For Helgie, so far, it's been a complete failure.
We had a game plan right away. We got out a couple days before the season started, and we were going to be there bright and early for opening morning. And then nothing went according to my plan. The weather completely did a 180 on us, and everything was out the window.
In the space of 24 hours, what had been a warm, dry fall gave way to a winter wonderland.
You can do all the scouting in the world that you want, you can put up all your game cameras, and you can find exactly what you want. When the weather comes in and changes everything, you have to change too.
All those.
If the weather hadn't changed, the opening morning, 30 minutes in, she'd been over.
So we got 5 does down in the corner of this regrowing canola field. The wind's not in our favor. We'd have to walk around probably about 1.5 miles, 2 miles to get into position, and we'll never catch up to them. So I think we're gonna leave these ones sit and do some scouting this morning more than anything.
And just as fast as the snow had come, the weather changed and warm air flooded in. Once again, Helgie had to rework his game plan.
The snow's melted so much I can't tell what was here. Ground was hard underneath, and now the snow's melting. You can't really tell. There's a lot of deer trails in here. Which one do we pick?
In this large area that we're hunting, you can narrow it down to 1/2 mile, maybe even 400 yards on where you want to sit up, and you know that you're in the right spot. But the deer still got multiple avenues where to come out.
There's about 5 or 6 trails that the deer are coming out of the big timber onto this field, and you got to pick the right one.
We'd narrowed in on this one field, and we'd been watching it, and we were getting good at game activity, and we finally decided that we needed to set up a tree stand because they were coming out in multiple areas. We scouted around, and we're like, yes, this is the spot. So we got our hawk tree stand out, we scouted around, and I found the ideal spot. And it took us hours to find this spot. So we go ahead, we spend a lot of time putting this up in just the right spot. We were like ready to go. It was perfect. Fortunately, we jumped to a conclusion. We didn't quite finish our scouting to the end of the field.
Thinking we might totally be in the wrong spot. We completely missed this.
And we stumble across like all this sign and this perfect trail that's completely downwind from our tree stand.
And our wind's blowing right there. Like right there.
Everything out the window, start from scratch.
Another perfect plan shot down in flames. But Helgie isn't quite ready to throw in the towel. The next morning, he's back before dawn, and he's spotted a buck.
I can't tell how big he is, but he's a pretty big body. He looks like he's got a big frame.
We spot this buck a long ways away, and we got a lot of open ground to cover to get to him. The problem is he's moving really quickly towards the bush, and we got to do a big semicircle to get out of sight and try and move in on him. So we've probably got a good 700-800 meters to run before we even get into a position where we might get a shot.
It's just legal light now, and they're in the bush. Damn. The only thing we can do now is try and get in behind him, and maybe we can call him in or intercept him if he's gonna go scent checking some does. Let's keep going.
They're not there, but there's another little clump out there, and I'm like, they gotta be in there. Sure enough, and this doe just pops out, boom. Right away, I'm like, he's gonna come out, get ready.
Let's keep going. Oh, there he is.
Sure enough, he pops out, and he's not stopping. So I quickly range the trees, 500 meters, like, yeah, I got my yardage. We quickly set up for the shot. He finally stops. I'm like, are you on him? You on him? Yeah. And I miss. What can I say?
Coming up,
What jumps out on the cut line behind me while I'm talking is a doe.
There's a doe on the cut line, dude.
And it's like a half an hour after they'd went the opposite direction.
it's the start of rifle hunting season. Helgie Eymundson is pursuing white-tailed deer on his family property.
We need to determine the travel pattern of the does now, because that's where we'll find the bucks.
He's got home field advantage and a plan in place for a successful harvest.
We're pretty much dead on anywhere in that semicircle.
I knew where they would be headed, and I knew where to be to intercept them. We're hoping that those does are going to come out on the field to feed in that canola field and draw those bucks out.
But an unexpected change in the weather
Thinking we might totally be in the wrong spot. We completely missed this.
and some dumb luck have forced Helgie to revise his game plan. But a return to warmer weather has drawn the deer out of the bushes and back to normal patterns. At dawn, Helgie was waiting.
I can't tell how big he is, but he's a pretty big body. He looks like he's got a big frame.
But in the early hours, home field advantage is on the buck's side.
Oh, there he is.
Well,
Yeah. We got a crack at him at 500 yards, and I shot right over his back. Damn. Let's keep going.
we've had the encounter that we wanted. I miss a big buck, but however, the chess game's back on, but we're now definitely in this game.
With time running out, Helgie faces one more challenge: the moon.
I've based a lot of my hunting trips around the moon cycles, and I base what I do in the field around the moon. The moon in all its different phases and different positions around the earth affect everything that the animals are doing. If you can plan your hunt around the time when the moon is peaking directly overhead in either an early morning situation or a late evening situation before it gets dark, you're in the ideal hunting time. What we were up against is the moon was peaking directly overhead at 1, 2 in the afternoon. Totally against us. The deer activity would then be focused right around their bedding zone. That meant that the animals were probably already off the field before we even got there in the morning. Like, it's simple science. It's been proven many, many times over.
Well, it's only about a half an hour after daybreak, but it's still a really good morning to hunt.
We figured that we had kind of blown it and that we had no chance. And we're actually doing a talk about moon phases and, how it was affecting our hunt.
We know that if we want to continue this morning, we've still got good odds of finding another big buck moving around because the does are still up feeding. They have not bedded yet, and that's due to the moon being directly overhead.
What jumps out on the cut line behind me while I'm talking is a doe.
There's a doe on the cut line, dude.
And it's like a half an hour after they'd went the opposite direction.
I just finished explaining to stay out in the bush longer when the moon is up, and I turn around and look, and there's a doe standing on the cut line.
She moves off, and there must be 15 minutes go by. We're like, he's not coming. Now we're back to thinking, we've absolutely blown this. Sure enough, the buck jumps out onto the cut line behind us.
Oh, there he is.
Now I'm kind of rattled. Quick, get on him. I spin around. I don't waste any time whatsoever.
Ready?
I'm just going to put the crosshairs right where I think they belong and touch it off. I knew exactly how far away he was. No, I didn't.
I think I shot over his back. I should have arranged that beforehand.
I shot like that high over his back.
Yep, totally shot over his back.
I had all the time in the world to take this out of my pocket, range him, and shoot him.
All this gear that you go and buy, you actually need to use it. I just missed the buck at 250 yards because I thought it was closer to 400. Let's go up there and have a look. Maybe I'm a bad shot and I hit him, but it sure didn't look like it. Well, this is where that buck was at. We had a good look around. No hair, no blood. Oh well, that's why they get so big.
At the end, it was checkmate. Deer won, Helgie, nothing. So I lost the chess match in week 1, but we fast forward 3 weeks later. I'm out with my best friend Rob, and you know what? He got him. He smashed him right near the end of the season, and you know what? He was even bigger than I thought. It's the biggest one Rob's ever shot in his life. A big, northern, heavy, chocolate horn, 175-inch Alberta whitetail. Way to go, Rob.
The Edge is sponsored by Cabela's and also by Bog Pod, Browning, Buck Expert, Caldwell, Field Torque Knives, Prime Archery, High Mountain Seasonings, HowToHunt.com, Hornady, Polaris, 10-Point Crossbows, Wild Game Innovations Trail Cameras, and Vortex.